Hey everyone, hope everything is going well. Wanted to do a quick video over here on what can derail the sports card market. I like looking at the Tom Brady cards out there because, once again, not to beat a dead horse, but I used to own a bunch of these cards back in the day. Should have sold them in July, which seems to be the short-term top in these cards. And I always like looking at the PSA 8 base card, number 236. This yesterday sold at 41.50. Um, this PSA 8, I think there was a or best offer. I don't know the actual price of this. What I can tell you though is if you just look at the sale from last night, and I'll wait for other sales in the coming days, but they weren't so hot. Um, if you look at what 4,049, you look at 4150, and I'm just looking at it from the month of July. If you look at it over the past year, it's still up significantly. And you're down approximately 25, 26%, depending on the sale. I mean, if you look at this one, you're down 27% from July or from that high sale of 5,500. That's not a good sign. Now, what can derail this sports card hobby besides the 236 card? This is just one card, so that doesn't mean that everything's going to be tumbling down, but it could be like, hey, look, what can be done? All right, help. I got AI to create these images over here. All right. The economy's starting to slow. Yes, that's one issue out there. The actual jobs, they lost about 23,000 jobs. Okay. That's not a strong sign for people out there in this hobby. Now, yeah, I'm buying cards right now, I'm buying tickets. But if people start losing their jobs, they're not going to be putting as much money in the hobby. Three or two, the backlog. What can derail this hobby also? Okay. Number two, backlog is shrinking. This is what happened post COVID. The backlog shrinked. You increase the amount of supply in circulation, and it was returned to normal after COVID. Okay. Right now, the backlog's what? Over 10 million, and they're not going to open until what? 5 million is from their backlog tracker. Current backlog 11.85 million. Value tiers opens less than 5 million. Okay. And prices will go down once you get more supply. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. There could be a lot of other variables at hand. Okay. Once again, AI created this image when the hype cycle breaks. Okay. You had the top peak in 2021, right before the economy opened. Everything was going crazy. Fleer 86 was at 700 some $1,000 on Golden. And once again, Golden is involved with Logan Paul. Logan Paul was able to take this PSA 9 card, which in reality it is, and say it's a PSA 10 because that's what the PSA label said, and sold it for 16 million. The hype cycle then began where people are like, hey, if Pokemon is 16 million high end, what are the goats worth? So that's when you saw the run up, in my opinion. Yeah, Gary Wee was talking about it, talking his, you could say pumping Spider-Man cards, pumping all these cards, and then people got back in, jumping around. Okay, this hype cycle is going to end. But what could continue the hype cycle is if you have another sale announced. What people aren't talking about, I'm still surprised, is the Mantle alleged sale of the 52 Mantle for a ridiculous amount of money. That could continue this hype cycle, and people may get a little more giddy if that's announced publicly. That I don't know if they're going to do if the sale did occur. And I will discuss more about that and whatever I'm going through shortly. One of the other things is there's going to be more ways to speculate in sports in general. The CME just announced that they're going to have hockey futures, and in the stock market arena, there's going to be ETFs that people can play, basically betting on your favorite team. So you want to bet on the Blackhawks, and you may be more bullish on the Blackhawks once Connor Bedard comes back to the team. Like that's utterly crazy. So people will be like, hey, look, I'm done with cards. You got the big FOMO moment. That's over. What can I go to next? You have a lot of moving parts. Not only that, leverage. Remember PWCC, they lent the 15-year-old $80,000 for John Morant. I still probably have that movie or video. How many people are levered up right now in the high end? What happens when you have to cut it off because of the macro or bad credit or the market takes a dip and they can't pay off their loans? Those are all the variables out there that can derail the sports card hobby. And the sports card prices, well, that still creates opportunities. Doesn't mean you put your head down. Creates opportunities for collectors, creates opportunities for speculators and people in between that. Anyways, everyone, let me know your thoughts. Talk to you later. Bye.